Welcome to Mommy Heal Thyself. We feature guests who provide you with the tools, resources, and strategies you need to say no to a life of pain and suffering from all forms of preventable disease, toxic drugs, and unnecessary surgeries. We hope to inspire you to boldly reclaim your ability to heal and to serve the ones you love.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Mommy Heal Thyself. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Elise Edjang. Dr. Elise is dedicated and experienced professional school nurse, currently serving at the Rosaryville Elementary School, which supports a vibrant population of students with autism spectrum disorder. With almost 20 years of experience as a registered nurse, her diverse clinical background spans medical, surgical, oncology, hospice, orthopedics, rehabilitation, urgent care, and school nursing. That's a mouthful, girl. Dr. Edjang holds a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and a PhD in Philosophy. She is also a published author of the impactful book, Saving the Child, which reflects her deep commitment to child health and advocacy. A passionate advocate for autism awareness, Dr. Edjang brings a unique dual perspective to her work, blending her professional clinical expertise with her professional insight as a mother. By bridging the gap between healthcare and lived experience, she empowers families, educators, and healthcare professionals to foster inclusive, understanding environments for all children. As a recognized voice in school nursing community and a frequent speaker at autism-related events, Dr. Edjang was recently featured as a speaker at the National Association of School Nurses conference, where she presented on school nurses advancing health equity for students with ASD. Wow. I tell you, I am so blessed to be able to be in your company and so excited to hear a little bit more about your journey today.
Thank you so much.
So tell us a little bit about how you got to this point in terms of working with students with ASD.
Hmm. Well, thanks again. First and foremost, I am so grateful to be here in your presence and to everyone who's listening to us. Thank you for your time because I know it's valuable. I am truly blessed because not only I am a registered nurse, but I'm also a mom of a young girl. She's recently turned 9, who was put on the autism spectrum disorder at the age of 4.
Mm.
So learning to raise a child on the spectrum has empowered me uh, to seek more, to learn more, to educate myself. So besides being a nurse, I also had the opportunity to really see both sides of the coins, how to take care of those children as a caregiver and how to take care of them as a professional. So that has afforded me really the unique perspective to understand both parents and also be there for them as a caregiver, as a professional nurse.
Hmm. So right now you're working primarily with schools, but also with parents. And, I'd like to have us focus on what you're
Mhm.
doing with parents. What are some of the things that you have found parents approach you with as their needs, as something that they're concerned about that they need your help with?
Most parents feel misunderstood. They feel
Mm,
like the system is not really catering to their needs. And
mm,
when I meet the parents, mostly in the school setting, when they come and they speak with me, they just feel lost. They feel like we are throwing jargons at them. They feel
mm,
like we don't appreciate the struggle they go through.
mm,
So, for the most part, I encourage parents to really bond with their school nurses, to
mm,
bond with their providers, and to make sure that their voice is heard and that they take a moment to tell us and to really explain to us who their child is, because autism is a spectrum. Every single child is different. Every provider will have a child on the spectrum and meet a different child every day. So it's up to the parent, to the caregiver, to make sure that we know who their baby is, to make sure that we have for lack of a better word, a cheat sheet, provide us with some inside information so that when we take care of that child, we can refer to it and make sure that we do what is right by you and by that child. So what sets the child off? What causes the tantrum? How to soothe them after they have a tantrum? What is their dislikes? What is their likes? How do they like to be approached? Some of them like hugs. Some of them do not want to be touched. Some of them, are very outgoing and bubbly, and some of them are very reserved. So if you give us the cheat sheet, if you tell us give us a little description, not just what medication they're taking, not just when they were diagnosed, but if you tell us a little bit more about your child, personally, what you're going through, how they are at home, then it helps us keep that consistency so that when we take care of those children, we can now provide the best care and something that is close to what you would want because we are mimicking what you're already doing. So that's what I tell the parents.
Now, what have you found has been some of the misunderstandings or mistakes that parents may inadvertently do in their communication or their relationship with the school or the school nurse, or just in general as a parent of a child with ASD?
I think a lot of parents assume that we know. They assume that what they know at home, we also know. And most parents don't also realize that because it's a spectrum, their child is very unique compared to the next child that we see. So if we don't have that inside information, if we don't know how to take care of their particular child, we may just use a one size fits all. And then, of course, they're going to be dissatisfied with the care that we provide. Because if we don't know how that particular child will react to a particular situation, obviously we're just going to guess from what we did with the last child or from what is generally found as the consensus. So that's one of the mistakes that parents will sometimes make. They will not take the time to communicate with the staff within the school setting early on, coming meet nurses have to go back to school or to work prior to the students being in the building. So that gives you ample time to go there to have a one-on-one communication with the nurse, with the staff, and just make sure that they know who your child is, who your baby is. Be present. Bond with the nurse, bond with the staff. Don't be a stranger to them. Make them know that you will be there, you will be available. You are just one phone call away, one text away, and then you will be stepping in if they need your help. Because once they understand that you are a present parent, you better believe that they're going to work well in making sure that your child is taken care of. So be present.
I love that in terms of being present, because too often, a lot of times, some of our parents feel intimidated, because certain school officials or school nurses have a haughty attitude, like, we know more about this than you do, and you need to do whatever we say. So I love the fact that you are emphasizing that parents need to speak up and they need to recognize that they are the
Yep,
authorities on their children. They know more about their child than
they
anybody
are.
else on the outside. And to have that confidence,
That's
and
it.
to even beyond that confidence, know that you were the assigned caregiver by God Almighty. That child was brought to you as the mama
Amen.
or you as the papa. So you have the
Mm-hmm.
authority where
Mm-hmm.
that child is concerned. You have the responsibility also where that child is concerned, and to ensure that don't allow people to intimidate you, and to, as Dr.
Nope.
Edjang is saying, be present. The more present you are, the more they will respect you, and the more they will actually heed you,
That's
and the
it.
more they will actually adhere to your cheat plan or your cheat sheet. So I love this
Mm-hmm.
idea that you're
Mm-hmm.
putting forward about this cheat sheet, because from the school's perspective, they come up with their
Mm-hmm.
IEP plan, right? But even before you create an
Mm-hmm.
IEP plan, you need to have that cheat sheet from the parents. So, what are some things that
Mm-hmm. Yep.
parents can consider to organize into a cheat sheet that they can share with the school staff?
Diet instructions. That's a big one. Often
Mm-hmm.
I hear when I'm at work, staff member complain about the fact that a child is eating the same food every day. So they'll sometimes come into my office, and they'll be rolling their eyes and having all the body language. She packed up a pack of chips again and some fruit snacks. That's how he eats every day. But that type of behavior or reaction to the dietary plan that you have for your child are only coming because there was no conversation at the beginning of the school year between the parent and the staff. Because if the parent takes the time to tell the staff, and I'm going to speak from this personal experience, my child eats 3 healthy meals a day, but there is a way she likes to eat her meals, a particular plate, a particular spoon, a particular seat at our kitchen table. I cannot move those items to the school setting. So while I'm able to facilitate her perfect 3 meals a day within the comfort of our home, I still have to give her something to eat while she's at school. Otherwise, you guys are going to think that I'm starving her. So when you see those chips, those fruit snacks, those, whatever that I'm putting on inside her lunchbox, it's okay. Don't think that she's only eating snacks throughout the day and that she doesn't get any nutrient, because I make sure she gets the nutrients once she gets home, because she has a routine that she keeps to. So do not judge my parenting skills by what you are seeing, because you're only getting a small window out of the big picture. But again, you cannot fault the staff for thinking like that if the conversation was never took place at the beginning of the school year, right? If you don't inform them that, no, when you see those snacks, the same old snacks, because those kids can be very repetitive, they'll eat the same thing every day. When you see those things, don't judge, just know that this is all I can do, so that there's some sort of nutrient that is put in, or some sort of food that is put into the body while within the 6 hours that they are away from me. But once I have them back, I ensure that all the vitamins and all the other things that the child needs is fed to her or to him. So make sure that you have that communication, because that's one of the big things that I see. Parents are judged a lot. Parents of children on the autism spectrum are judged a lot with how they feed or provide nutrition to their children. But most people don't have any idea of the background work that those parents have to do to make sure that those kids are fed. If they only want to eat from the blue bowl with the purple spoon, well, what are you going to do? You have to wait until they get home to eat from the blue bowl and the purple spoon sitting on their favorite red couch.
I love it, especially how specific you're being. And as you said, people on the outside will always be judgmental. That's just who we are as people. We are people who work on judgments. We all make judgments, but it's important in part of advocacy for your child to give people a little bit more understanding of what's happening in the background. Because as you said, they haven't a clue of the details that you are putting into place on the home front. And to be fair, the reality is that a lot of parents aren't doing that. So they make the assumption that no parents are doing that. So again, when you're advocating for your child, help them to understand that you're not just any parent. You are whoever you are, and get them to see a little bit more clarity of the infrastructure that is happening on home and the support system that you have for your child on the home front, so that they know that this is a true partnership and you're not one of those parents that simply drop them off as a babysitter, right? Exactly. You're just like, do the little teaching thing, but know that I am being an actual parent, which is kind of rare in today's society. So like I said, I can understand why some of our teaching staff have the judgments that they have, because, it is very sad what is happening in the world of our children these days, where very few parents are actually being parents. So now, going back to what you were saying in terms of us being parents, what are some of the other things that our ASD parents need to keep in mind as our children are getting older? And what are some things that we need to start to put into place to help to provide for our children even after we're gone?
That's a big one right here. So, again, speaking by experience, because I'm being very blessed that the Lord found me worthy to raise a child on the spectrum, because it takes a special parent. If you're one, I just want to take a second to commend you and to let you know that you were chosen, you were handpicked. It takes a special parent to do what we do. It didn't happen by accident. God was not sleeping on the job. It was not a mistake. He found you to have the right skills, tools to do this, so be comforted. Having said that, there is a lot that you need to learn. There's a lot that you need to keep up with, because if you do not put things in place, if you do not structure things well, as that child grows and becomes an adult, if you don't do the right things, they become property of the state, and you'll have a young adult that needs to go maybe to the hospital for care, and you'll not be allowed to make any decisions on that child because it's now property of the state as an adult with different ability. I don't like, I'm not a fan of the term disability. So you have to make sure that you learn what the law has in place in your state, in your country, wherever you're watching from, to make sure that you understand what it is that you need to do to basically acquire the what is the right word here? I'm going to
Guardianship.
have a senior moment. The
The
guardianship. Thank you
guardianship.
so much.
Mhm.
That you get the guardianship for that particular child, because if you do not put that in place, you'll find yourself in a situation where the child is now an adult and that right has been stripped away from you, and he is now up to the state to decide what to do and how to implement things for that particular child. And even with regards to finances, if you have a lot of wealth, if you are building some wealth, that particular child cannot have wealth directly assigned to him if you are interested in him or her applying for benefits that the country or the state or the government offers. You have to make sure that that particular wealth is structured in a manner where it's accessible to the child, but not under the child's name. Because otherwise, once the government finds out that the child has all that wealth that you have worked so hard at building, he or her will be stripped away from all the benefits that the state or the county offers. So you just have to educate yourself on all that, and think about probate, think about the court system. If you're no longer here, what is going to happen? Read up on probate. Is everything structured? Do you have a will in place? Do you have a trust? There is such a thing called a special need trust. You have to make sure that you research on that. And with your permission, I
Mhm.
offer those services as well. You can reach out to me,
Mhm.
and then my website is basically my name, eliseedjang.org. You can email me, and then I'll be very delighted to sit down and have a moment with you and just share more, or answer some of the questions you may have, and refer you to the people that can help you set up those things and put those things in place for you. But this is something that you cannot wait until the child is an adult to start thinking. You have to think about it now before they get out of the school system.
And again, the key here is being proactive. So the same way that
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about taking the time to create a cheat sheet for your school staff before school starts. And you may come up with your original cheat sheet, and each year you're going to have to adapt it and update
Yep.
it, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
your child changes each year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the same way, you don't wait till your child is 18 and say, "Oh crap, I no longer have the ability to make the decisions for my child."
Mm-hmm.
I really suggest you start looking at into this like yesterday. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
care how young your child is, start doing the research today on things like the trust, things like guardianship, so that you start to work backwards, so that if your state says that this has to be done by the time the child is 18, you already have it in the works from the child is 15, you know, so that,
You're
and
not
even
surprised.
maybe even before then to have it in the
Mm-hmm.
works, because who
Mm-hmm.
knows,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can get knocked over by a Mack truck tomorrow. And then what
Mm-hmm.
happens to your child? So
Yep.
always again, be proactive in thinking, because a lot of our children with ASD, they have no one else to advocate for them. So you
Absolutely.
always have to function from the perspective of what is going to happen if I'm not here tomorrow?
Correct.
Is the infrastructure in place? Do I have some kind of communication with a friend, with a family member, with someone who knows
Mm-hmm.
how to step in and take over if the worst happens to me, because tomorrow is not promised, you know?
Nope. And you want to make sure that you pick the right person, because you may think, okay, well, I have my mom, I have my dad, I have my spouse, but you don't know which one of them will actually implement your particular wishes. So unless it's written, you're leaving it up to the court system to determine who's going to get what, who's going to do what, who's your child going to stay with. And, you've lived enough to see who cares about your child almost as much as you do. So this is very, very, very important. Very important. Very, very important. And I actually partnered, because this is something that is very dear to my heart. I partner with a company that will give you a free 30-minute assessment with regards to how to establish either a will or trust. So I really highly recommend that you reach out. My contact information is on my website, like I shared, and I'll be very happy to connect you with them so that they can help you put something in place for your family.
So
Because this is
in the
not
show
something that
notes,
should
we're
be
going to
postponed.
include the link to Dr. Elise's website, as well as any link that she has for you to use to be able to communicate with her directly. And again, I would jump on getting that 30-minute consult, because what's 30 minutes? 30 minutes can be the difference between your child having a prosperous life and your child being in some really dire situations if you're taken out of the equation earlier than we expect, because we've all got to go. But somehow, sometimes we think, oh, that's
Right.
way down the line when I'm like 70, 80, whatever it is. And sometimes that is not exactly God's plan. So we want to make sure that we help you to be connected to the resources to start thinking about the next steps in protecting your child and ensuring your legacy continues. So now, Dr. Elise, we're wrapping it up, and I was curious, is there something else that you think is really key for our parents to know or understand that we haven't yet covered?
Let's see. What can I leave them with? For sure, I need them to understand that while the rate of autism is rising, us as nurse, mothers, caregivers, we need to understand that adaptability is our greatest strength. We need to adapt to what we've been thrown, like, right? They say, if, you were given lemon, make lemonade, but you can make many more things with lemons. So we may not be able to control the numbers, but we can prepare so that we can slow down the impact that autism is having. And preparation starts with taking the steps that we have discussed, making sure that you connect with your school system, making sure that you are present, that they see you, that they know that you care, making sure that you let them know ahead of time so that you decrease the room for judgment, because they will judge, but that you decrease that room, that window for judgment. And then also understanding that true health equity for those children doesn't just stop in the hospital setting after they get the diagnosis. It continues in the classroom setting, it continues in the health room, and it continues in the living room, because it takes a village to make this work.
I love that parting message. So, ladies and gents, please pay heed to what Dr. Elise said, and know that you are not alone, and know that we are here to help to be your village also. So again, reach out to Dr. Elise to get access to that wonderful additional resource, and to have a conversation with her about other things that she can assist you with from the vantage point of optimizing our parenting skills, because we're all learning. Nobody gave us a manual for any of our children. So we could all benefit from hearing different strategies and tools and skills that we can use to help to make our lives more optimal with our children. And until next time, my ladies and gents, peace and blessings.
Thank you for tuning in for this episode of Mommy Heal Thyself. If you like what we're doing here, please share, subscribe, like us, and leave a comment. Your feedback is very much appreciated.